So I couldn't fast forward anything. And the very first thing on the program is Pockets defending his Dollar General Store championship against the megastar himself, Kyle Fletcher. For those of you saying, who? Kyle Fletcher was the high school sophomore that attacked Pockets backstage from behind during a backstage promo last week and beat him up and picked up his prestigious Dollar General Store title and held it up next to apparently, Kyle Fletcher has one from the IWGP. He's got a belt. Everybody's got a belt. And that was the angle to have this match. And first off, what is Kyle Fletcher's gimmick, Brian? He's part of the tag team that I thought at first their name was Aussie Oldham. Now I see it's Aussie Open. His partner's injured, so he's doing singles matches. He looks like, as I said, an in-shape high school sophomore or junior. Maybe he's captaining the football team. He looks like he's 17 years old. He's in shape.
He looks like he's in his 20s.
And he's dressed like a video game villain. So what is his gimmick? Here's Kyle Fletcher. He's from Australia, but he doesn't dress like Crocodile Dundee. He dresses like a video game villain, but he doesn't look like a video game villain. He doesn't look like fucking General Zod. He looks like goddamn Alfalfa. So...
Alfalfa.
Yes, Alfalfa. His little hair sticking up on top of his head. Carl Alfalfa Switzer.
That's right.
So, what is his gimmick? He just they're dressing up. They're kids dressing up in cool costumes. The president. Imagine if a goddamn Dusty Rhodes decided, you know what? I'd really like to dress up as a goddamn video game character. How would have he looked when he was the biggest star in the fucking business, coming out dressed up like one of the Ghostbusters, like they did on this show here a while back?
I don't even remember Kyle Fletcher coming out with that outrageous ring gear. That's why I'm a little surprised by this.
It's a goddamn giant robe with there's green things hanging down and fucking tassels, and
that's just a standout. I mean, if you look at Japanese wrestling, a lot of those, and he's primarily been wrestling over there, a lot of those wrestlers come out with flamboyant, spectacular outfits.
He looks about as flamboyant as a guy going for his fucking driver's license test. He's a fucking teenage kid.
Well, luckily he's against Mr. Charisma.
Well, that's the point I'm making. You've got this guy, we're not sure who he is or what he is, but he looks like he's in shape, but he's wrestling a fucking nondescript guy in blue jeans and a bad haircut who looks like he's playing wrestling with a good-looking high school athlete who's doing the aggressive parkour. And I was wrong about Pockets in one aspect, because, I've not dignified this to watch it for quite some time. But I said it's always the same thing anyway. He never changes. Well, I was wrong about that. He has changed. He's trying to wrestle. That's worse. Because instead of just doing a few fake things and standing around with his hands in his pockets, now he's doing everything that's ever been invented. And so is the other guy. And that's what it was. It looked... I understand now why that WWE fans roll their eyes at this when the WWE wrestling is just as silly or fake or boring in different ways. But these people look like children playing. And it goes on and on because they're on their trampoline in their mother's backyard living out a fantasy of being on national television doing this hoo-ha. And at one point, did you see? Pockets gives old Kyle Fletcher what was alleged to be a flying DDT off the top rope onto the apron of the ring, but he missed him and fell on his ass on the floor, and old Kyle went anyway. And they both almost killed themselves. And then they replayed it. And Taz actually missed the first time that they missed. And Taz said, now watch the impact here. And they replayed it. There was no impact. Where was the impact, Jerry? There is no impact. He missed everything.
Maybe that's his gimmick. He asked what his gimmick was because he also got the super kick before he got the super kick later in the match.
Yeah. And after these two had finished with their Play Wrestling video game match, no bump was left unsold. Everything either looked completely phony or like it should have killed somebody, but they got right up. The match made no sense from start to finish. It was a collection of moves that they've come up with that they did over and over, and it went for fucking ever. This is wrestling for people who don't like wrestling. It doesn't mean anything and they don't care and they're not going to remember it tomorrow, but it's just something to watch. And then the company mascot kicked out of, was it 2 or 3 tombstone pile drivers, including one off the second rope. And then won the match with some kind of half-ass roll-up that I think they kind of fucked up, but nobody could tell. And he retained the Tony Khan Junior High School Featherweight Championship. And at that point, we were 20 minutes into this program by the time they finished jacking themselves off. And I couldn't take it anymore, and I switched over to Jeopardy Masters, which I was recording to watch later. And came back to this fucking program the following day. Your thoughts?
You have any thoughts on who the Jeopardy host is? Mayim Bialik or Ken Jennings?
I gotta be honest, I like Mayim, but Ken Jennings is better and it flows better. And he's more personable, I think. Mayim is possibly too intelligent to be friendly.
I think that's a very good assessment, and neither one of them were on this program, this friendly program. I mean, it was what it was. I don't really watch Orange Cassidy matches, but I did watch towards the end of it, just because I thought it may be ending soon. And, they got the crowd into it, and the crowd were hot. And there was a point, and I don't remember the specific example. And again, it's not my kind of thing all around, but there was a point here where it's like, okay, that was the moment to end it.
That was the time to go.
Like the crowd was peaking, and then it kept going after that, and it was noticeable to me at home that the crowd came down. And there's a lot of things at AEW that, and it's not just the matches, it's the promos too. There's a lot of things that should end quicker that don't, and it extends things for no reason.
They give the guys too long because, have a classic match, go 20 minutes. Well, part of the thing about booking, when you know how to do it, is don't give guys too long for the match they're probably going to have. In this case, in Pocket's case, we know 30 seconds is too long. It's just Tony's weird fucking fetish here or whatever. But at the same time, again, you can't. We talk about the matches in WWE being rushed through and being made unimportant. It's not the length of them necessarily as much as the fact that they're an afterthought or they're broken up with so many commercial breaks or the emphasis is on everything else. Here, the opposite is the problem. You get one of these stinkers going on, you can't get away from it. They will not end. And that's the common theme that I noticed when I started seeing independent shows in the late 2000s. And they set their match up ahead of time. They've got a bunch of cool moves. They get everything in the match, and then they end it with something simple. And they don't know how to go when the time is right. And they would get a match. The people would be raring to go and raving hot, and they'd be ready for the finish. Then it'd go 5 more minutes. And by then it's like, so that, and there's nobody either to teach these people here or that they will listen to when people are trying to tell them. Because if he kicks out of 1 tombstone pile driver, it'll be even better if he kicks out of 4. So that was this. So I picked the rest of it up later on my DVR.